Hello and welcome to the two-man power trip of wrestling. I am your host, JP John Poz. With me today, very special guest, former WWE referee, current Impact Wrestling referee. He is the son, of course, of Earl Hebner, known as Baby Hebner. He is Mr. Brian Hebner. Brian, welcome to the two-man power trip. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you very much for having me on your show. I'm ready to dig in and do what you do.
Nice. What have you been up to? What's going on in your world?
Um, just busy, man. Doing my own podcast. Busy doing Impact Wrestling and busy being a dad. So with the combination of all of it together, busy, busy, busy.
Of course, Reffin 123. How's the podcast world treating you?
It's doing okay, man. It's doing well. We just did our first episode last Wednesday. We have another one coming out this Wednesday, which would be our second. So pretty excited about that. And me and RJ are working hard and, hoping everybody enjoys what they're hearing and seeing.
What do you think about getting into the podcasting world?
Well, it's something I've always been wanting to do. And it's just taken me a while to finally just say, okay, hey, let's dive in. Let's do it. Because, the podcasting world's very big and broad right now. And a lot of folks are doing it. And I'm just trying to make this a little different than most podcasts, giving you that third man in the ring kind of thing. And just trying to make it different, putting a little twist on it and just showing people how it is and what I do and what referees do to prepare and what they go through and just kind of just a different perspective and make it more entertaining as best I can on my end.
When initially, you start the podcast and stuff, what's your vision for it? You want to just talk about your career and your life, or you want to kind of relive some moments as well?
Well, right now, I think what we're trying to do is just establish the podcast itself and get that third man in the ring interaction with people to understand what it was like to be with some of the big stars that had moments in matches and things like that, kind of like a background, and then maybe evolve into my career and then maybe evolve into who knows, but right now we're just trying to cover the bases of a person for that episode and what it's like to work with them. And then the backstage stuff I went through before one of their biggest matches that I was part of, that kind of thing. And leading up to the day of and how I felt about it and how they felt about it. So just that kind of thing. And that's what we're focusing on and doing right now. How it evolves into what it may go after that. I don't know.
I like the first episode I heard with the Stinger about Sting. It was very interesting. I didn't even realize you were the ref of the Jeff Hardy match. So that was very interesting stuff to kind of get the behind the scenes of that.
Yeah, it was a really tricky moment to be in. Not one I'm most proudest of, but I mean, hey, things happen. It is what it is. And I think that we all dealt with it as professionals. And so I thought a little insight from my view, because I know that it's been talked about on many podcasts, I know it has, but it hasn't been talked through from the third man in the ring. And so I thought it would be a very interesting thing for people to hear and experience, through their visions and just to see what it was like for me. And all the wrestlers that were involved and some of, like EB that was involved and things of that nature. So I think me and RG did a really good job of covering the night and the day leading up to that night. So, and that's what we're trying to do is just get, dig in, go backstory wise and just start from there and let everybody know how it was.
It's pretty unique to have that happen, just that situation, because you hardly ever see something like that. The big star, you don't know if he's quite with it or he's going to make it. And you and Sting seem pretty calm about it, but it's like, okay, we'll deal with it. But I mean, that's got to be a situation that never normally happens.
No, never. That would be the first, which is crazy for somebody who's been in the business as long as I have. But that was the first on that kind of stage as far as being a pay-per-view main event. You just have to just go with the punches and do the best we can. So, and that's what we did. And I know it didn't come out the way people wanted it to come out, or I don't know. It just it was what it was. At that point.
Yep. Obviously, Jeff was in a bad place then. He's in a better place now, for sure.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And he's a good guy. None of the stuff I ever talk about was meant to be disparaging to him or anything like that. I mean, he's a great guy. And I feel like this was the wake up spot in his life, for him to maybe get himself together and turn his life around. And I'm just very, very happy and humble for him, and just terrible feeling for him, because I know this is nothing he'd ever want to do intentionally. You know what I mean? This is just
Yep.
not the way he's built and the way he is. So once again, I just want to say, it's never nothing bad I'm saying. I was just
Right.
telling the truth, and that's what my podcast is all about, is the truth. And it is what it is.
Yeah, you got to get that story out there.
That's it.
The third story for sure. Yeah, that's great. With Sting and that whole situation is going on, he seemed like oddly calm. Like, oh, we can handle it. We can is that how he is normally? He's just like cool hand Luke.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen him, and I've done many matches with him. I've never seen him freak out of a situation. He didn't out of this one either. He actually did try to, to continue on to see what we could get out of Jeff at that point in time, just to see if we could put something together for a main event pay-per-view for a world championship match. So, I mean, hats off to him. He tried. I tried. Me and him were communicating back and forth, and just, we just realized that at some point it just wasn't going to happen. It just wasn't going to happen. And it was a savior for everybody, for me, for Sting, and even Jeff, because you can't work under those unsafe conditions.
When that happens, I didn't even realize. I guess you didn't know Bischoff was going to come down, right? Like that was like kind of an ad lib on his part, right? It wasn't
No,
planned.
that was a definitely impromptu. And no, I think that was just a matter of, hey, I need to buy some time. I need to figure out what's going on. I need to figure out where Jeff's at. I need to figure out where you guys are at. I need to figure out what we can get out of this kind of thing. And I mean, I would just say another hats off, and I don't know how many I can give off, but anyway, another hats off to EB, Eric Bischoff. Just handled it so professionally, and it was so calm. And I don't know if you ever went back and watched it or you saw it live or whatever, but I mean, he was not like stressed out and freaking out. I mean, he was very calm in his role, the way his character was. And I just thought it was a phenomenal job, and we bought some time. So that helped a lot.
I remember watching it live too. I went back and watched it too, but I remember watching it live and being like, something is off here. But you couldn't tell because it almost seemed like a wrestling storyline. Oh, Bischoff is coming in to do some sort of swerve, but then you saw Sting when he walked out, how mad he was. Like maybe that wasn't like you almost got a sense that it was a work, but then you're like, no, that was definitely real. That was crazy.
No, it was definitely real. It was,
Yeah,
trust me, it
yeah,
was
oh
definitely
yeah,
real. There was no work about that at all.
yeah. But as a fan, when you first watching, you're like, wow, what is going on? Like you're almost confused. Like what the hell's
Sure, I
going
get
on
it.
out there? Yeah. When you originally got into wrestling, just to kind of rewind back, obviously the son of Earl, when you originally got into the business, was it always destined to be in the business? Did your dad want you to be in the business? Like, how did that go? Or was like you're in the business no matter what?
Well, no, it was for me. It was, I wanted to be in the business, but I wanted to be a wrestler.
Hmm.
But I'm not a really big guy or anything. I'm just an average normal guy, which average normal guys can do it. So I'm not saying to anybody out there, if you want to be a wrestler, don't do it. I just, I was a smaller guy and thought that could be something I could do. And then, of course, my dad taught me into, and I don't know if I should say the word taught me into, but just showed me what it was like to do what he did. And I found that really interesting as well. Plus, I got to be beat up some, and I like that too. I was just, and as odd as that sounds, just taking bumps and stuff like that was really something I really wanted to do. And I realized that my calling was a referee as the years kept going, and I stuck with what I wanted to do, and boom, there it was.
What did he say, like, as you're getting into the business? Like, this is great. Like, he's happy for you. He's all for it.
At one point he wasn't sure, you know what I mean? Like, I think he always deeply wanted me to be in it, but I think that he wanted to make sure that I was taken care of as far as financially, if this was the way to go, if this was the thing to do. But no, I think that ultimately this is what he wanted, for me. And it's what I wanted for myself. That's the thing. My biggest fight back was my mom, who was never big into wrestling or anything like that. But obviously she's a huge fan of me, and so it worked out with that too.
When you go back to like '88, when your dad really and your uncle are reffing that match with Hogan and Andre, do you get anything like at school? Does anybody mention it to you at school, like your dad is the evil twin, the evil
Oh yeah,
twin referee that screwed the Hulkster? Do you get that a lot at school?
I did, because it was obviously very known, who my dad
Yeah.
was when I was in school. I would just say it was a rough day on that Monday. I mean, Hulk Hogan got screwed. I mean, that was everybody's hero.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody threatened to beat me up or anything like that, and I don't recall that. But I remember, catching a little bit of grief. But you know what? That's good. That means that they sold the story, and I didn't know what was going to happen. He just called me and told me to watch, Uncle
The main
Dave is what
event.
I was
Yeah.
told.
Yeah.
And so I just happened to watch, Sunday night main event or Saturday night main event. So excuse me. And I did, and all of a sudden I just noticed something different, about the referee in there, which was my dad. And I just thought David had lost some weight, something looked different, and I know them apart easily, obviously, because I grew up with them. But you know, and then as things went around, I was like flipping out, like, holy crap, are you kidding me right now? So it was pretty cool for me too. I think he wanted me to enjoy it. I don't think he wanted me to, to know,
Right.
which sometimes is really cool. And he's done that for a lot of things throughout, his career. For me, he's never iggy me on things, which he wanted me to be surprised because I'm a huge wrestling fan. I was a huge wrestling fan all my life. My place was the place to go growing up for pay-per-views. I mean, I did the whole deal. I had everybody over. It was food. It was ready to go. Pay-per-views, Monday Night Raw, all that stuff. So, so it was really, really kind of nostalgia for me. Like, it was just really, really cool to see my dad and my uncle back, together. And after all these years, because, David was in the WWF at the time, and my dad was in NWA. And then seeing them come together was really awesome. And the way they did it was like, oh, wow, shock factor.
And it looked like maybe possible shoulder injury for your dad as the Hulkster launched him
Yeah, it
way
was.
over the mark. He
Yep.
launched him.
And that's just nothing more than just your adrenaline and
Yeah.
him being what it was, just a big moment for everybody in that ring that night. But my dad had to get shoulder surgery following that.
33 million, I believe the number is, of people that watched that show. So it was pretty popular, Hulkster and Andre back then. So just
Sure.
amazing to have your dad kind of be a part of that history too. And Hogan's promo afterwards is great because he doesn't say they're twins. He says it's like, they replicated Dave. You know what I mean? It just
Right.
great stuff all the way around. Yeah.
Yeah.
When
Really cool.
when you are a fan though, you said you're having the party. Who's your guy? Are you a Hogan guy, or what were you a fan of as a kid?
I was a huge, I mean, it sounds crazy now, but I was a huge Wahoo McDaniel fan. I was a huge Magnum TA fan. Another huge Nikita Koloff fan. And of course, Ric Flair.
So you're a Virginia guy, NWA guy. Obviously, your dad worked for the NWA, so you're more of an NWA fan going
I
back.
was huge.
When you are growing up, are you going to the shows too?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There was a guy, his name was Pat, and I can't remember his last name, and that's terrible of me, but he was a cameraman, and he had a camera case that he would sit front row, and he would put it right by his chair, and I would sit on that camera case. So I would be front row, I mean, right there by the barricade. And just every event I was at, that's where I sat. So it was pretty cool. I was front row and center every show.
That's awesome. Do you run into my buddy Eddie Cheslock at all? The old camera guy.
I haven't ran into him in a while, but I know who you're talking about. Great dude. But no, I have not run into him recently.
He used to take all those pictures behind, backstage of the show and the guys and
Sure.
stuff. Yeah, so he's got some great pictures. It's crazy. Like there's that brick wall, that infamous wall where like Flair and Arn and all those guys take those pictures. Really good
Yep.
stuff. Did
Yep, really cool.
you by any chance see that Wahoo's got a new book out?
I did not know. What's it called?
Literally just called Wahoo by John Cosper.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, I guess his wife and John, I guess, put it together, but I haven't read it yet, but it looks just super interesting because they talk about his whole career, his whole life, AFL, and obviously his legendary run as a wrestler.
Right. No, he was something too, man. I mean, I never worked with him, obviously, because I'm not, I just never did. He was pretty much done with the business by the time I got in the business, but I was just a huge fan of him. I don't know why. I don't know what led me as a kid to do that, but I mean, I just was into it. I just remember those big feuds that him and Roddy Piper used to have. Would drive me to tears. Like when I was a kid, it just the storytelling those two did was just amazing. And I was wrapped in it.
Is that the style you like? Maybe the more like not stiff, but like guys are snug, or it just seems like they're in like a legit fight. Is it maybe that's more your style, like that Wahoo Johnny Valentine, Greg Valentine style?
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten more accustomed to the way wrestling is now because that's what I have to be. But I am like a big, uh, like you said, snug fight, storytelling, working the crowd, just making sure everyone's involved because you're like, what's next? And then I like a couple sets of heat, and I like a couple comebacks, mini comebacks, just like that stuff. It's just old storytelling. It's kind of a lost art for the most part. There's some that still do this, but it's just yeah. I think I like it. I like the theatrical part of that part of it.
Why do you think that it is a lost art? Because that's so true. So many guys say that. Why is that? It doesn't make sense. It was working so well. Like, why did the wrestling lose that?
I just think fans, man, are just demanding, and that they want to see the craziest stuff. Like somebody jumping off a balcony, they're happy whether he lives or not. I don't think they really care. Just want to see the spot. You know what I mean? And I think that part makes all the other guys do the different things because they know what makes the crowd pop. And sometimes it can be boring in a setting, depending on the building and the place you're at, to do what I like. You know what I mean? It can be because they're expecting flying and luchadoring and all this other stuff. But I mean, I don't think it's a lost art. I just think it's just not done anymore. I think people can do it. They just choose not to.
It's weird. Like, when did that kind of stop? You know what I mean? Because for so long, the storytelling was such a big part of the matches. I can't even kind of pinpoint it. It just stopped all of a sudden, and it just kind of went in a different direction. Can you think like when that like the shift happened? It just seems like all of a sudden, boom, changed.
Honestly, and I don't really know this to be factual. Obviously, I don't think anybody does really. I mean, I think everybody has their own opinion. I would really think that it was when the WCW introduced their I don't know what they call it, cruiserweight.
Yep.
Okay. And then when it was bought, and then you had Rey Mysterio and all those guys come in, I think they completely changed the way people looked at wrestling, which is not a bad thing because that's what those guys do. It's awesome. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of the best matches I've done was with people everywhere. You know what I mean? And that it was cool. It was cool to ref. It was cool to sit back and watch again. But I just think that to me, that cruiserweight division that they did in WCW kind of what changed it. Changed the way wrestling was looked at. Because WWE and WWF at the time, they weren't certainly doing anything like that.
No, they tried to, I guess, attempt that light heavyweight division, but it didn't really work out. But yeah, it feels like all of a sudden after that, so many different guys, even heavyweight guys, were kind of going into that different style. Flying around stuff. It wasn't the old school knockout drag out. They were almost all going to that kind of not no psychology, but like that just kind of throw caution to the wind style.
Right. Yep, I agree.
When you are like coming up and coming into the business and you're becoming a referee, does your dad train you or is it somebody else?
No, my dad 100% trained me and monitored me the whole entire time. And he felt like I wasn't ready when I felt like I was, which was interesting. But now looking back, I agree with a lot of what he did. And I think he did it to protect me from other people thinking that I had a spot because I was Earl Hebner's son, if that makes any sense.
Yep. Some nepotism. He wanted to avoid that.
Yes.
When you are being trained and you become a referee, what is kind of just the importance of the referee? Because I feel like that's lost. People maybe don't know, understand, or I know the third man in the ring, but just kind of explain like the importance of a ref.
Well, I mean, if you're a good or decent referee, you should, in my opinion, know a match and not just a finish. You should know the match. You should have a good cadence when you're counting, so that and the guys that you work with can learn and understand the way your cadence is. And what I mean, I'm not talking about on a double down, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm talking about a 1, 2 kick out or a 1, 2, 3. And I'm also talking about communication. You need to learn how to communicate and know how to do it the way it's supposed to be done. There's just it's very, very in depth that people don't understand because I've seen situations where there's been companies that didn't have really good referees, and you could tell, and people complained. You know what I mean? And that's just it's a very, very important part. And if you asked anybody that's a good solid wrestler, or someone that's been to the top or near the top, or some of them at the bottom that just rely on their referee or thank the referee because they guided them through. So there's just so many aspects of what we do. And I'm not saying that it's more important than the guys, no. But I think it's just as important to have a good match with a referee that's as good with the talent.
It seems like that is definitely, and we're talking about like lost art and stuff. For some reason, some promotions, like not to mention names or anything, but it's like this seems like it wasn't as important, and that some referees are being like noticed. Shouldn't referees not be noticed? Isn't that like the kind of thing like you don't want to know who the referee is the match necessarily?
I wouldn't say you don't want to know who the referee is, but I think that you shouldn't want to know who the guy is right when the match starts. I mean, like,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, if I got through a match and they didn't realize I refereed it, that's cool. I have no problem with that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, you want to be small, but you want to be big inside that ring with the guys. And so, to me, the props I always wanted to get was not from people that are talking about me on the internet or talking about me in the crowd. What I want is when I go backstage and those guys say, "Thank you so much. You did a hell of a job. Really appreciate you out there." Yada yada yada. That's my appreciation. That's when I'm like happy, ready to go, know what I did, and I'm good with it.
Talked to Mike Chioda and Jimmy Corderas, and they would always say Pat Patterson, not like a joke, but almost like a little sarcastic thing, like I didn't even notice you were the referee of that match, like almost giving them a compliment, like saying
Right.
like you right, like I guess that's a way of saying like good job.
Right. It is. It's you did your job. You handled your cues. You handled everything. Didn't even know you were in there. Yeah, of course. Pat was the best, man.
Give us a good Pat Patterson story if you have one.
I don't really have like a story, certain story. I just have like lots of things that me and him dealt with. But like he had such uh, a confidence level in me that sometimes it scared me because I was always scared to disappoint. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
he just felt like I was just a really good referee and just knew that when I was in there, everything would be taken care of. And it actually added pressure to me. And I know he didn't mean to. He was just giving me confidence. He's just saying, "I'm not worried. I'm not worried about you. I know you're going to take care of things. Please go banana and you'll be fine." And da da da, And it put pressure on me. But you know what? It helped me though. It helped me to step up my game, and it helped me be a better referee, focus harder. And I just think that guy just had it, knew it, because he was a former referee as well. So he gets it. He understood it, and he understood what we were going through. And I just remember when Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle had that Iron Man match that was on SmackDown. I believe, I could be wrong, it was like 7 segments or something like that.
Yeah.
I had to remember 7 different finishes, and I was just nervous as you can all imagine. And I got lost, to be honest with you, a little bit in there, and had to ask like twice, I think. And then they asked me too on certain ones. It was just like, because it was so much.
Yep.
And when you're getting beat up and banged around, and so much time goes by, I mean, it gets confusing. But he reassured me before I went out, "You're going to get this. You're going to get this. Da, 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 da." And, I got it, but, I did need a little hand. I'm not going to lie. I needed a little hand, just like we all did. We were all leaning on each other because it was just not a normal thing. It was not a normal thing for our TV program. I don't think it's ever been done before since. I don't think. I don't know. You may know that, but for any show, never went 7 segments. You know what I mean? We had one match, I think, after that, and maybe an in ring, and that was it. That was the show. So I was honored to do it. It was awesome to do, but I just think that Pat, he was the agent for it, and he just had all this confidence in the world for me, and I really appreciated it. And like I said, I think he helped give that confidence and that push to me as I was younger to be a better ref. And that was cool.
Do they give you instructions like in the earpiece because there's so much going on? Like, how do they communicate with you as far as, or are you communicating with Lesnar and Angle as far as like all the finishes in that
Oh
match?
no, no, we're not a drive-through like they have now in some of these promotions. I don't have a callback button. This
Oh,
was
okay.
just the only thing they give me in my ear is my cues. To commercial or whatever it may be, and count down
Yeah.
2 of that and all that kind of thing. But no, I could never feed anything back to them. So our communication was with the guys, me and the guys. That's how we got things done.
Man, that does seem like a lot because normally it's one finish you got to remember, and that's it. Like seven, you're like, oh my god, what was it? The angle slam? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like
Yeah, yeah,
it's like
yeah. Because I
the
mean,
F
think about how many
five.
false
Yeah.
finishes there were with the angle slam, and then finally it was the angle slam. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
it was nuts. It was nuts. But I mean, like I said, it was just different, and it was something newer, and best 2 out of 3 falls is fine. That ain't no problem with me, but 7 finishes, was tough.
Yeah, that's crazy. I remember not that long ago on Raw. I guess Randy Orton was getting pinned by one of the Street Profits. I think it was Montez Ford, but he stuck him a little bit in the shoulder, and I think he got a little bit of a stinger. And he was supposed to almost turn, I guess, and maybe put his foot on the rope, but the ref had to count 3. In that situation, you got to act like it's real, right? You just count the 3, even if Orton's supposed to put his foot on the rope, he just didn't. You got to go through with the finish, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's times where I don't get nervous for myself, but I get nervous for the guys where they'll go, well, I think where he's going to put me, I'm going to put my foot on the rope here. So just be aware of that. And I'm always thinking to myself, man, if you don't put your foot on the rope, I've got to count you, I mean, and that's a tough spot for a referee to be in. I mean, we had something not long ago on our show where poor Daniel Spencer, I don't know if y'all know him or not, but he's one of our referees, and he did the Motor City Machine Guns versus the Bullet Club. And there was a spot in that match where it didn't go right. It was supposed to be a false finish with a save. Well, the save didn't get there quite time enough, and the guy relied on that save to happen to not kick out. And Daniel counted 3. And everybody was, not everybody, but some people were stirred up mad at him, and they went back and looked, and the save wasn't there in time, and he laid there long enough, and it was a 1-2-3. It was close. It was one of those deals where you could maybe work something, but that's a tough spot to be in. It's a tough spot to be in. So that's when you're relying on talent, and you're relying on people knowing their jobs and what they're doing and that kind of thing. But so much crap happens in there, man. And people don't understand that sometimes if I'm supposed to make a save, let's just say I'm one of the workers, and I just took a bump and I'm selling or whatever, and maybe took a little bit more than what I thought. All of a sudden I could forget, oh shoot, there's the moment I got to make that save. And then that may be what happened. I don't know. And it just was a little late. And that's what caused Daniel to have to count 1, 2, 3. So felt rough for him, but I'm glad that he was kind of in the right. But there was things he could have done, which I'm, working with him and learning with him and things like that, which he's doing excellent.
See, I think that stuff like that is okay, but then I saw something on AEW. The girl's undefeated, and she's getting pinned, and this other girl is pinning her, and she must have had a brain fart. She forgot to kick out. The ref goes 1, 2, and she like wouldn't put her arm down, and then the girl kicked out, and then she like raised her arm. So I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, man, I know the girl's undefeated. You don't want her to lose, but the ref looks so bad because you could tell she just wouldn't count 3, even though the girl didn't kick out.
How did they even explain that on TV?
Oh man, not good. Jim Ross, I think it was Jim Ross. Yeah, had to been. Was just like, I don't know what happened there. Like he was confused, like kind of he literally, I think he goes brain fart by Jade, like saying like the girl had a brain fart. He's like brain fart there, wow, or something. Like it looked really bad.
Yeah.
But it made the ref look bad because she didn't know what to do, because if she counts her out, the girl's undefeated streak is over. There goes the gimmick. But
Right. I understand.
she's in a tough spot. But I was just thinking, I was like, man, that's got to be tough for the referee, because you almost like have to think 2 second span. Do I count 3? Do I not? Like, you know what I mean? That's got to be tough on you guys.
Sure, it does. I mean, I didn't see that. I actually would like to see it. But I have to see it. I can't say anything about it because I have to see it. What you say may not be what I see.
Right. Okay.
I don't know. So I don't want to comment on it because I don't know. But I would like to see it. I would like to see that.
You gotta check that out. I'll send it to you. It was just like crazy. Like, wow, what the hell just happened there? But
right.
I feel like sometimes the referee, I don't know. I remember Nick Patrick used to have the thing where he would go under the guy's shoulder, and he give them like the little
yeah,
like not the finish. Like, I guess some referees have their own thing. Like you said, I guess they have their own cadence. They have their own way of handling it.
I love Nick Patrick, but I did not like that. I mean, I did not like that. and it's that everybody accepted it for many, many years. So it's okay. So I'm just saying, me personally, my style, I don't like that. If you can't kick out, I'm just going to count to 3. I mean, that's just what it is. I'm not going to save you every time. I'm not going to be a savior for you every time.
Right.
You know, I mean, I just didn't like that style. I love Nick Patrick and I love the style. It's nothing like that. I'm just saying, but that sort of thing you're talking about, I know exactly what you're talking about. I just did not like it. Where he'd slide his right arm or hand underneath the shoulder, and he would count, and then he would sometimes you could even visually see him raise the shoulder. I did not like that. That's just me though. But I love you, Nick Patrick.
Oh, me too. To each their own, I guess, right? As
Yeah,
far
exactly.
as referee, do you just have to kind of develop your own way of doing things?
I mean, everybody has their own niche. Everybody has their own thing they do. I created a style of my own that I kind of put a combination of things together the way I work. Plus, you know, I was very, very much more athletic when I started. So obviously that part of it is probably not as there as much, but, you know, you just have your style. You do your certain things that you do, and it's really all you could do. I mean, you know, refereeing probably, you know, because if you watch MMA or anything else, I mean, everybody's different. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everybody does things different. But yeah, you just have to find that little niche for yourself, you know. And I teach and tell people that all the time when they're, you know, coming to a seminar or something like that. You don't have to do things like me. I really don't want you to do things exactly like me, because then you're going to try and be like me. I mean, you can emulate and do things a certain way from the way I do things, but I mean, you don't want to be just like somebody else. You want to have your own niche, just like a wrestler. You know, you're going to have your own thing. It's not as important or not as important. I'm not going to be, you know, lying to you and saying that, but having your own niche in what you do is a good thing.
Do you remember the first match you ever refereed?
You mean like ever in the history of my? I don't. I don't. I know that's crazy. I'm just not that guy. I'm not that historic that holds on to stuff all the time. I don't really know the first match I ever did. I would love to know, because I don't know.
It's hard to find like referees because they don't keep stats. You know, they keep stats of all the wrestlers,
Sure they do.
The referees, it's hard to track. What about WWE? Do you remember your first WWE match?
I remember it being with the Hardy Boys and Too Cool.
Wow.
And I also remember working with Kurt and a bunch of his. But like my first ever, you talking about TV or just in general?
Just in general. I was just kind of curious.
Oh, just in general. I don't really know, because they're not in the business anymore. So this was about as dark as it could be. Meaning match wise, I don't really remember. I don't really, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to be so vague with your question. I just don't want to not tell you the truth.
Yeah, I got you.
I just don't really know.
With WWE, when you get in, is that your dad helping you get in? Like, how do you actually get the WWE job?
Well, the thing was, before I became full time with WWE, I was doing part time stuff with them. So the East Coast, and as I kept working and doing my thing, Jack Lanza really came to where he liked my abilities and liked my style in the ring, and really thought I could be really good. And he pitched it one day in the meeting. As far as my dad told me, my dad had nothing to do with it. Don't get me wrong. My dad would get me booked on the shows, or, you know, would say, hey, my son can drive to this if y'all want to use him, yada, yada, yada. But I would just do that. And then Jack Lanza pitched it one day to the in a meeting, and said that, you know, Hebner's boy, Brian, he's been working da-da-da-da-da, and I think he can be a hell of a referee if you guys want to give him a shot. And so that's pretty much history. That's how it worked.
Young, obviously, and it's like you said, athletic. You could do the job. Obviously, very good. When you get into WWE and you become a referee, is that like pressure packed situation? You know, Jack Lanza is recommending you, of all people, huge name. You know, tippy top of the scale. There's a lot of pressure on you.
To a degree, yeah, to a degree, but it wasn't unsurmountable. It was just pressure. That it was more about me living up to my dad and not being a letdown. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh gosh, okay, he sucks. He's only here because his dad, you know, that kind of thing. My goal as a referee was never to be, oh, that's Brian Hebner, that's Earl Hebner's son. my goal wanted to be, that's Brian Hebner. Oh yeah, he's Earl's son. You know what I
Right.
mean? Not, oh, that's Earl Hebner's son, Brian. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I wanted to build my own legacy. I want to do it on my own. And obviously I'm going to get that anyway because my dad is who he is. He's a Hall of Famer. He should be a WWE Hall of Famer. But I just wanted to have my own legacy as well.
Does that bother you at all that he's not in the WWE Hall of Fame? Because that again came up this year because Undertaker loves him and all these guys love him and they're saying, oh, Earl and even Dave, obviously, my God, he should be in too. But does that bother you at all, or does that bother him at all? Like, he should be in the Hall of Fame.
I don't know if it bothers him as much as it bothers me, to be honest with you. And if he does, he probably hides it. I mean, I just think it's bullshit. I mean, I do. I think it's bullshit. I don't know if I can cuss on your show. I'm sorry.
Sure, go for it. Yeah.
I do. I think it's horseshit. It's bullshit. The man did anything and everything that a referee could ever possibly do in this sport. If they have whatever anybody wants to say, it doesn't matter. They put people in there that had buried that company. They put people in there that could give two craps about that company. He cared about that company, and he did everything he was asked to do in that company. If somebody could tell me why he shouldn't be, I would like to hear that because I can't understand it otherwise. I don't get it. I think it's a crock of shit. I do. And I don't know who's in charge of it. And if it, because of the supposed or what everybody thinks, the t-shirt, the gimmick that he sold or whatever it was, horse shit, whatever. So because he did that, that takes away everything else he ever did. It's the Hall of Fame that you honor and respect what they did in their career, not what they did wrong in their career, because it wasn't even had nothing to do with in-ring. That's about in-ring is what I was told. That's what a Hall of Fame is supposed to be about. That's what every Hall of Fame in the world's about. That's sports-wise. Not about, well, he might have done steroids. Well, we didn't prove it, but guess what? He's in the Hall of Fame. So what? He did what he did on the field. He did what he did in the ring. So I just think it's a crock of bullshit. I think it's stupid. I think it's dumb for them to not honor two of the most legendary referees that have ever been in that sport. And I just think it's stupid. And I think it's petty. And as you can tell, I'm not going to get really angry, but it bothers me. And I think it's just stupid.
Especially after he went to bat and did the Montreal screw job, you think you have some loyalty there for life for him. He went to bat, for the whole Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels Survivor Series 97 situation in Montreal screw job, right?
Yes, exactly. I mean, he didn't come up with that. He didn't just make that up. That wasn't something that he just said, oh, you know what? What the hell? Let's just do this tonight on his own. I mean, and that was a very, very, very big moment for wrestling. And to not honor not just him, but him and my uncle both. I mean, not they don't have to go in together, but I mean, that would be awesome as well. But you can't just, put your toys down and put them away and just say, okay, they earned it. They deserve it. You can't do that. I just don't understand it. And I'm not saying that they're the only referees that should be inducted either, but I'm just going to say, I mean, if you don't put them two in, who else you going to put in? Because if you put somebody else in, I think that they didn't do what he did. They didn't do what they did together. It's just me. And I guess maybe some people say, well, that's your dad, not your uncle. Yeah, I know it is. But once again, you tell me why they shouldn't be.
Right. Definitely. Do you think referees belong in the Hall of Fame just in general? Do you think that they should start putting referees in?
Why not? I mean, we're just as important to the not buying tickets and putting asses in seats, but we are just as important as putting a match together that you remember as a kid, or you remember as an adult, or you remember live events. I mean, is it something that should happen every year or anything like that? No, you need to earn it and be in the business for a while and really earn the respect of the boys and respect the office that respect you. And yeah, sure. If you're good enough and you've done it good enough and your legacy shows, why not? Why can't a referee do it?
That's true. Yeah, I agree. With Hall of Fame, though, and we're talking about the Hall of Fame, what about Undertaker going in? What are your thoughts of working with Undertaker? And obviously, you probably ref many of his matches.
Well, I mean, if anybody deserves it or should get it, I mean, my God, that guy. So happy for him. I think it's gonna be a great, great moment for him. I know he'll be very excited about it. Interesting, as me and RJ talked, it's gonna be interesting to see how he does it. You know what I mean? Character wise, I know he's going to come out of character. He's going to have to talk, but
right.
how he gets to this podium. He might just, I have my own vision, but who knows? I'm just a mark for Mark. So it's gonna be cool.
He, I guess, just had a recent interview. He was saying he's very nervous. I was surprised to read that. I'm like, wow, he doesn't strike me as the nervous type, but I guess this is something he's not used to.
Well, I don't think he's nervous. Well, from what I'm hearing from some other people is that he's nervous about Vince inducting him. I don't think he's nervous about the whole situation. I think he's just nervous about Vince inducting him. Which, because Vince, you never know what Vince can do or what would do. You know what I mean? I don't think he's going to embarrass him or anything. I think he's just, he's probably going to do exactly what he's supposed to do. I mean, it is, the Undertaker. But he might be nervous about it too, because this is a big moment for him. I mean, and also not only that, but you have to remember, this is pretty much him saying, I'm not going to get back in the ring.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do.
What do you think about just working with him, though? Everyone always says, the locker room leader. He's very much, like very steady guy. He didn't very even keel. What do you think about working with him?
It was an honor and a privilege. It was some of the best times of my life. I learned a lot as a referee through him. I just can't describe what an honor it was. It's up there. I mean, he was just what he is. He's phenomenal as far as just a person, a backstage guy, in-ring performer, just everything. Just he had it all. And it's going to be hard to duplicate that ever again.
Do they have like certain referees like that specifically work with certain guys? Because it seems like sometimes that's the case. Like some referees will work with certain guys. Is that the referee's call, the wrestler's call, Vince's call? Like who's making the call of like referees working with certain guys?
Some guys prefer certain guys, referees. They do. That's happened a lot throughout my career. And it's, it's just that they feel comfortable with them, and they know that they can depend on them. And it's not a knock on the other referees. I mean, I don't want to dive into that, because that's something I'm going to dive into my own by the way.
Yep. Yes.
But it's just that yes, that does happen. It happens quite often, to be quite, honest. It just depends on the level you're at with the level of the talent. I mean, really, to be honest with you. And it's no knock on the other referees. It's just a matter of the confidence and the what's it called, when the chemistry that you have with those people, and they just feel good about it. And it's something like it's kind of like if you were going down the road and you were really going to struggle with this ride because the fact of the amount of time it takes you there, and you have a buddy of yours and you've done it for years, you want that guy beside you. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like that. It's just kind of like that. Or you're going to a fight in a bar, and you got your big boy, and he's one of your buddies, and you have several other buddies that really goes to you, but you have this one that can just, do his thing, and you feel confident because you really want to go to this bar to meet this chick, and you're going to take him. You're going to ask him to be your guy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's kind of like that.
It's almost like the home run derby when they have like their own pitcher, and then all of a sudden they bring in somebody, and it's like that guy. You're like, who's this guy? Like that's their guy that throws him the perfect pitch that he can hit the most home runs in the home run derby. Because you'll see like Bryce Harper, like, who the hell is this? And like he brings his dad or something. It's like, what the hell? But the chemistry, he knows right where to pitch, and he hits him the best. Yeah.
There you go. That's a great analogy right there.
Do you have some favorite guys from WWE that you liked? Obviously, Undertaker is one of them. Is there guys that stand out more than others?
I mean, I loved a lot of the guys. I mean, so it's not fair to just call out, but I mean, I had some of my favorite guys that, that I was really close with were The Big Show, Brock Lesnar, Undertaker, obviously Kurt Angle. At the time, Eddie Guerrero, myself. Those are the main ones. I hate leaving out people, but I mean, because there were so many of them, and me and Jimmy Corderas and Tony Chimmel were really close. I had a lot of good friends there. So it's just really hard for me to I could keep going. You know what I mean? Yep. So there's a lot of guys. I mean, Billy Kidman, just a bunch of people, that we did a lot of card playing in my days back in WWE, and we had card people, and then we all became very, very close. So it kind of went like that in a way. And then, you kind of build a relationship with people you work with in the ring too, as well, because you're doing it so much and so often. So, those are just to touch on some.
When you get released, was that the whole situation with your dad and your uncle? Was that the same time, or were you still there when they were gone?
No, I was still there when they were gone.
Oh, you were? I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah. Um, to me, it is what it is. I knew it
Right.
was as a matter of time, because of the situation
Yep.
that supposedly was there. I wasn't surprised, and I just knew it was a moment when it was going to happen, and it's fine. It is what it is. Hindsight's 2020, and to be honest with you, it's worked out better for me. So.
You're liking the Impact. Well, obviously TNA first, but Impact Wrestling, this new regime. Are you loving it?
I do. I really do. It is a lot different. Um, it's better. It's more structured. It's just a good place to be, and I'm very, very happy and blessed to be there.
And obviously Scott D'Amore is in charge. Is there like a big responsibility? Are you like the head ref, or like you said you were helping Daniel Spencer and stuff? Are you the king of the refs, if you will?
Well, I'm not the king of the refs, but I am the lead referee. I would say.
Head
I don't know
referee, yeah.
if they use senior or anything like that, but yes, I am. I'm in charge of ref assignments and things like that, and they would come to me with questions and things like that, just like my dad used to do, just same type thing. So yeah, that's what I am there. Yeah.
I was curious about that. Like, so you're the head ref. You have more responsibilities. You're the one that tells which guy's working which match.
Yes. Yeah. So
How do you?
I get a lineup of the matches, and then I go through and I assign the referees.
Oh, okay. So how do you? Is it just by like you're picking this? Does somebody work with you, or you just have a feel for it?
No, I just have a feel where the guys are at and what their abilities are. Um, and then sometimes it really is about spacing on the show. I mean, sometimes it has nothing to do with whoever. It's just about spacing so we're not back to back and things like that. Um, but generally, it's more about spacing, to be honest with you, when we're doing tapings, because we're doing 2 or 3 at a time. So it's about spacing guys to where we're not back to back, because that's a very, very important thing. And Scott was big on that when I came in, about not having referees work back to back, because it just looks terrible on TV, which it does. And sometimes you have to be careful because our format is not exactly the way it goes. So you have to be careful looking at segments and things like that. And that's something I have to go through and look at and look through. And then there's some matches where it is like, hey, this guy has worked with this guy, and let me put him in there because he's been doing a good job with them, and they had good feedback from me from them, and all that kind of thing. So, it's a lot of thought process that goes into it. It's not just slapping a name down most of the times. Sometimes it is, though. I'm not gonna lie, but it's, generally I have a thought process that works hopefully for all of us. And obviously if they have a problem or a complaint or something like that, I guess they would come to me.
Can you believe like you're in that role just from where you started to where I know you've been doing it for 20 years, but it's like, you're not old, but it's like you're such a veteran. Can you believe like you're in that spot? Almost like your dad's old spot?
Well, yeah. I mean, what became surreal to me was that when I was in TNA, I had that same spot, and my dad was working with me, which was
Wow.
crazy.
Wow.
So he relinquished it to me and said, you're the young buck, you know what's going on, you know what I do, which is basically nothing. Give me the girls and I'm happy, and that kind of thing. And my dad did some good stuff too, so I'm not knocking him about that. I'm just saying, but he, had to cut back, what he was doing, because he couldn't work 5-6 times like I was doing, and Stifler were doing, and that kind of thing. So he just turned it over to me, and he said, "Look, you know what to do. Let's do what you do." And that's the way it's going to be. And so that's when it was really surreal to me, was that like basically my dad was working for me, like kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, don't get me wrong. If he didn't like what I gave him, he'd go, I ain't doing this. I ain't doing this shit. No, I ain't doing it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So then I would change it. And that's fine. But I mean, but otherwise, he let me take control, and, everybody there knew that I was the head referee there. So it was pretty cool. That's when I knew it was like, wow, okay. All right. I'm starting to move forward. You know what I mean? Kind of thing.
But that's good. It's like a lot of responsibility, but it shows you like, okay, we have a lot of trust in this guy. He's now the
Right.
head ref. He's making a lot of decisions around here.
Well, you have to understand too. My dad was not easy on me at all, ever. At some point, I really thought that he was too hard on me. You know what I mean? So he really, really made me earn and respect, to be able to get in the ring and be with whoever I'm with and say, okay, you're with them because you've earned it. That kind of thing. I mean, I was on Sunday Night Heat forever. It seemed like, he would not put me on the show. And I kept asking why. And he would just say, you're not good enough. You're not good enough. That kind of thing. And I never had a perfect match for him for such a long time, where I'd feel like I did good. And he would just say, nope, you didn't do good. You got something wrong with your legs. And I'm like, no. He goes, well, why are you holding on to the rope? Why you got to get up using the rope? And I was like, I don't know. It was just right there. He's like, well, don't do that. That kind of stuff. And then finally, I did. And then to go from there to me and him working together and I'm in charge of the referees was just like, kind of like, whoa, all right, well, here we go. And here we are, kind of thing. Kind of real, but that's the way it worked.
It's almost good that he was hard on you, because then you got you chiseled or whatever, got you ready for that spot. It seemed like.
No, for sure, it was definitely the right way. I just at that time did not think it was. You know what I mean? It was like, no, I'm ready to go. Cut me loose. Let me, freaking go. But now I understand. And now I understand. And you know what? If he would have done it the way I wanted to do it, how many people would really have respect for me? Even though my work could have been just as good as it is now. Who knows? I don't know that. But maybe all that stuff I didn't get to do that I wanted to do helped me get better as a referee as I went years before I got to do TV. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I respect it. I mean, I do. I respect that now.
It does seem like, when you're younger, it's like, oh man, why am I going through this? But then when you get older, you almost look back like, man, that was great for me. That was smart. You're almost not smart enough to realize it, but when you get older, you get wiser, and you're like, man, that was a great lesson.
Right. No, you're exactly right.
So,
you're exactly right.
Like with you now, I'm always curious. Like, so the refs, like for you, for instance, are you guys in charge of the truck and the ring and like that stuff too? Like, do you guys have to do that end of it?
I'm not, but the other two referees do help with the ring and all that stuff. Now, once the ring is there and the shows help, are going, I will help. Like if they want to do like a canvas change or something like that, or help clean up tables that get smashed or whatever, I'll help do that and kind of, that kind of thing. But generally, I don't do anything with the ring other than that kind of thing, which is fine with me. It's great. I just get confused sometimes that I don't know exactly what to do. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But no, the referees in all companies still have those referees you're talking about, like I used to do in WWE, where you would referee and be on ring crew, that kind of thing. And that still exists. Yeah, I'm just it doesn't exist for me at this point.
Yeah, you're high up there. I think it was there was a story something about Charles Robinson. Like he loved being a ring crew or something. I was like, wow, it's hard to believe like you could love doing it, but I guess maybe you're used to it.
Well, don't let Charles Robinson fool you now, because don't get me wrong, we had stage hands and all we did was point.
Oh, that's why he loves doing it.
Now he'll get his hands dirty a little bit.
Yeah, that's
oh,
why
little Charles, that little Charles. He likes that extra payday. See, he's smart.
So you get a little extra cheddar if you're doing that then.
Absolutely you do. You don't do it for free, that's for sure. But no, there's work involved. You're there before everybody else. You leave after everybody else.
Yep.
You have late nights. Then you also have to go into the ring and referee. Don't get me wrong. I'm busting Charles because I love him so much.
Yep.
But no, he always did love it. He did. He really did. He really did love it. I'm not saying I didn't. I didn't mind it at all either. The thing is, I mean, I am older now, and I'm, I'm not old, but I'm older.
Yep.
I don't want to be at the building before everybody else, and I don't want to leave after anymore. You know what I mean? Before, after, everybody else. But it's a good gig for a lot of these guys. I mean, it does make extra money for sure. So I don't think that'll ever go away, because that's a way of breaking people into business as well.
So what did you think of, just randomly, just thinking about WWE guys and stuff, what do you think about Triple H's retirement? No longer wrestling. Did you have any sort of relationship with Triple H or any sort of stories with H?
I mean, he's always been a great guy to me. Always. He actually took up for me with a problem I had with Jericho coming into the business for a little bit. He came to my bat and stood up for me. But what's weird to me is that he hasn't wrestled since when?
It's a couple years, yeah.
So
I think 2019, I think was his last official match, I think.
Okay, so 3 years almost.
Yeah.
So I don't understand the big shock moment there. I don't understand the shock value there. I mean, it's unfortunate he's not, because I mean he's a great talent. I mean he's a great draw. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying I don't understand the big deal of him saying that now when he hasn't wrestled in almost 3 years. Because was anybody waiting for him to wrestle again right now at this point? Because I mean he's booked in no stories. To me, I guess it was more about his health and his health scare.
Right.
And then it was just a reassurance of I'm not going to referee anymore. I mean, sorry, I'm not going to wrestle anymore. I guess was the big deal.
Yeah, I thought that was funny too because I was looking. I was like, when the hell was his last match? Because I knew he had some sort of street fight a couple years ago, but it wasn't really a match. He just came out and, like, brawled with Orton. But I was like, wait, when the hell? And then it was like a Saudi show in like 2019 against Orton. So I was like, wow, he hasn't wrestled in a while. Like, I didn't even like think about him wrestling. It was like you said, it was almost funny that he said, "I'm not wrestling." I was like, I didn't even think about it.
And
Like I thought he had
like,
retired already. Yeah.
well, to me, I thought, I'll be honest with you, I kept seeing all these tweets and things, not knowing exactly what was going on at all, and seeing all these tweets about Triple H, and I'm like, is he about to die or what's going on? Does he have some disease or something? I wasn't sure what was going on. I really was not, but I was wondering why all these tweets and stuff were coming out. And then I found out that was the thing. He had said he wasn't going to wrestle again. I was like, well, I don't understand why everybody's going crazy. I said, but I guess I get it. And I do get it now. I didn't at the time. I was just like, he hasn't wrestled in a while, and I haven't seen him wrestle, and I haven't seen him to think that he was going to wrestle. So I don't know. It was just weird to me. It was just weird.
Yeah.
I think it was more about the health scare he had. And then it was official that he just said, okay, yes, I'm not wrestling ever again.
Yeah, he can't because of the heart issue. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
sure. And I mean, and I'm so glad he's okay. I mean, that's for sure. I just, once again, I just wasn't sure about what was going on and didn't understand why it was such a big fuss at that time. But I think it was more about the health. And then I think he was posed a question when you get back in the ring. And that's when he had said that, you know what I mean? So it all makes sense now. I just didn't understand it at first. It just kind of was confusing to me. And then when I heard about it, it confused me further until I delved into it and figured out what was going on.
Now, as we hit the wind down, we head towards the finish here. Do you have any regrets in the wrestling business? Maybe anything you didn't get to do or anything you wish you'd done differently?
That's a good one. I don't think I have any regrets, but I think sometimes there's things I wish I could have done or would have done differently. But that's it. I mean, in other words, decision making in the ring, things like that. You know what I mean? Like, because everybody's like that. They go back and they watch things and they see things you do, that kind of stuff. But I don't think that'll ever go away. You know what I mean? No matter what, because you're never going to see yourself as perfect. I mean, I know at least I'm not. Some people do. Believe me, trust me, they do. But I don't. And I'm proud of matches, but I don't ever really see. I don't ever really see a perfect match for me anymore. You know what I mean? Not when I say anymore, meaning like ever. I just have never seen it. I've seen really good matches, and I was really proud. Said I did a good job there, but why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? Kind of thing. So I don't think there's any regrets. I mean, I don't live life with regrets. I just don't.
What do you think is like the legacy of the Hebners? Yourself, obviously, Dave, and your dad, Earl. What do you think is like the legacy of you guys? Because we were kind of hinting at, you want to create your own legacy, but what's the legacy of the family, you think?
I'm hoping at one point in time when we're all dead and gone, and I would like for people to say the Hebners, those referees were the best ever in this business. I think some people say that now about my dad and my uncle now. I would like to be, because by working hard and showing my worth, for somebody to say the Hebners were fabulous referees, but Brian was the best. Brian was the better of all Hebners. You know what I mean? And I got ways to go. Don't get me wrong. And I'm going to strive at that. And that's what I want to be. And I don't want to settle for anything less.
Of course, got to mention Reffin 123, the podcast, which is slowly but surely climbing the charts. Man, you guys are kicking ass over there. So tell us what's next in store for the podcast.
Yeah, so go to our podcast. It's called Reffing It Up. Obviously with me, Brian Hebner, and RJ. And it's this week we have this Wednesday, 9 a.m. is when it hits. we are going to touch on the Undertaker and Brock Lesnar as the theme. So it's going to be really good. I've got some really good stories, and we're doing it on a week where, he got announced to be into the Hall of Fame. So that kind of goes with our theme. Really good listen. And if you want to follow us on Instagram or Twitter, it's the same thing at Reffing It Up. And then also you can follow me if you'd like to at Baby Hebner on Twitter, and on Instagram at Baby Hebner, same thing. So not hard to figure out. So please, if you want to submit questions or anything like that to us, or give us feedback on our podcast, we take constructive criticism, we take positive vibes, all that stuff. So please feel free. We're a wide open podcast. We're here for y'all, and we just hope you like it and can tell us what you want.
Nice. I keep calling it reffing 1, 2, 3. It's so funny. It's reffing it up, but I'm saying 1, 2, 3 because of the ref.
Well, I mean, that's my gimmick too, as well.
Yeah. And I keep thinking, the 1, 2, 3. That's great, and you guys are kicking ass and taking names, and I think everybody will enjoy that podcast. So thank you for all the time today, Brian. Really appreciate it. Baby Hebner, awesome stuff. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it very much.